you're watching this video, you're potentially in the market for a new DSLR camera. Now, for about the past year, I've been shooting all my YouTube videos on an iPhone 7 Plus, and I've been really happy with it. As a matter of fact, right now what you're seeing and hearing is shot on an iPhone 7 Plus. Now, I recently found a great deal on a Canon 60D, that guy right there, and I wanted to do a quick comparison video. It's not so much which one's better, but the big question I want to answer between the iPhone and the Canon is, will you see a huge difference when you spring for a DSLR? I'm without a doubt going to expect the Canon to be better. Smartphones cameras are awesome nowadays, so if you're thinking about taking your production skills to the next level, but you're also on a budget, and you want to try and make your dollar go as far as you possibly can, I want to spend the next about minute or two going over which is going to give you the best bang for the buck, using your current smartphone or popping on this, or something equivalent to it. So right now you are watching me on the Canon 60D using also the built-in mic of the Canon. Now, most DSLRs have pretty lousy microphones built in, so I highly recommend upgrading to either an expensive shotgun mic or even a lavalier mic. I use a lavalier when I'm shooting on my iPhone, but for this purpose I want to keep everything kind of on an even playing field, and I'm only about 3 feet from the camera, so I'm sure the audio is pretty decent here. Now, here's a big jab against the Canon. Canon, as you may very well know, or especially with this model, the 60D, you can only shoot for 12 minutes of continuous video footage, at which point it stops, and you have to hit the record button again for it to keep going. There are a couple reasons why, but we don't need to get into that in this video. So if you're shooting longer style interviews, that's something to be mindful of if you do decide to get the Canon 60D. I don't want to spend a ton of time going over features and specs because all that stuff is online, and I'm sure you know most of those pieces of info already. Now let's go ahead, I'm going to chop both pieces, we're going to compare them and see which one looks the better. Best. All right, what'd you think? I think the Canon looks pretty darn awesome. Now the room I'm in right now is getting a handsome amount of daylight, which is probably why the iPhone, which I've resorted back to now, the iPhone looked a little washed out because of all the light. But again, the Canon in the same environment, I think handled much better. And for an older DSLR, I mean, you could find the 60D secondhand for roughly around the $500 price point, maybe even a little less if you do some more digging. So you don't have to break the bank on a nice camera. Now, if this is something you're passionate about, you obviously want to make a career out of course it's going to make sense to invest in a super high-end camera, even like the Canon 5D, which is a full-frame, beautiful machine. But of course, you're going to be spending a decent amount of money on something like that. The answer, is it worth spending a little bit of money on a DSLR to get better picture quality out of it? In my opinion, I think so. Now, I've been super happy with what the 7 Plus has been able to put out, and if you're liking what you're seeing now, then stick with your iPhone 7 Plus. But if you got a couple bucks to spare, I think it's worth it. Alright, so that is that. I figured, I'd go back to the DSLR once more so you can see. I also hooked up the shotgun mic and adjusted the audio a little bit, so hopefully you're hearing me a little bit better now than before. Well, I think you're hearing me just fine before. It was just way too loud and a little bit distorted. If you had fun, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, smush the keyboard. I love to see abstract comments like that down below. Also, if you want to take a little vote, what did you think was the best bang for the buck? A, currently using your iPhone, or B, upgrading to the DSLR? Again, until next time.